Okay, so basically, I'm just gonna go a little off. Well, I've been mainly on script, but yeah, I've been busy lately, so forgive me for that. So yeah, well, with a little apology right there, might as well get to the main source why we're here today. Scourge vs. Reverse Splash is somewhat actually reached my expectations. I actually really excited for this matchup for when it announced. Now, basically enough, throughout season 3 at some point had some good and definitely much improvement over their episodes. For the best and for the worst. For which I am pretty skeptical how they're gonna exactly gonna do this episode. And there's a reason why for it. One of them is actually gonna be something that's gonna be over top one of my favorites this season so far. Being Venom versus Sanction, or how I pronounced the last name correctly, which actually remains my favorite in the season so far. And top of all up, one of them is being animated. This episode will be animated by the same guy who did the previous one. Now I know I'm pretty harsh on that episode, but even then, that's mostly a first take of his own creation. So hopefully my feedback gives me an impact of it rest of the episode. And with it, and the episode actually reached my expectations, to be honest, after the trailer. I might as well get this out of the way. My favorite of season 8 was actually Goku Black vs. Reverse Flash, funny enough. Not only because of the editing, well, yes, the editing, but also how they portray Dawn pretty well. Especially throughout both the analysis and even the fight itself. I actually have some high expectations for this episode to be, well, be at the same level as it. Be at Goku Black vs. Reverse Flash. And I am pretty surprised it did, and I'll go forward the reason why I like this episode this very much. Those is actually lead to one question I had in mind. Does this episode manage to surpass my favorite episode of this season so far, Venom vs. Shinji, with between Scourge the Hedgehog for RG and basically now Reverse Flash, as we mentioned. Well, might as well sell this once for all as we cover my review of the episode Scourge vs. Reverse Flash. But before we get to that, I want to thank you guys for voting in the fan poll in Demon and Archer's YouTube channel. I might as well get this out of the ways, and for those that don't know, Demon and Archer in their Discord server actually hold a fan poll, mainly focusing on the matchups that what people selected in their own choosing, and choosing the top 8 that is sure to be best, and voting which one is sure to become the official episode of FCC, hopefully this season or next one. And if you guys don't know and haven't seen the fan campaign, you kinda know which one actually won the bout. If you haven't, I want to get you guys for actually voting for my War Dragon vs. Regine Superman. I love this special so much, and I hope it will come out this season or next time. As of right now, I'm be helping out in the writing portion of the episode. It is pretty fun, and I hope when it's finished, you guys will enjoy it as well. Again, thank you guys for voting for this matchup and making it have it be official. Thank you very so much. Okay, so with that all the way, let's get to the review, shall we? Okay, yeah, let's start. Let's start by something I will say this. The pre-analysis are actually pretty good here. I really like how the Scourge's analysis was mostly from being how the dick he is, mainly as a character and other reasons. I also like how though I will admit, some of the editing, mainly in the bio, especially in the cutscenes where we see an arsenal, just kind of being a little bit in the screen side, mainly in how they show the text. What I also kind of like is how they mention a lot of stuff on how Archie is just crazy, to the point that even the Scourge has his own super form. Hell, they even mention about a crossover with Mega Man of all franchises, even Metal Sonic, and going some other stuff I actually like to see. Oh, and also, basically enough, make a huge segment where basically they market the guy, one of the writers or creators of the Archie comics. It happened. Anyways, I as for Dawn, well, it doesn't surpass two Death Battle's first ticket analysis, but I still enjoy how it managed to pull off, and well, yeah, I admit, it's actually pretty good. Give me some good writing here or there. As for, well, speaking of writing, the writing here is actually pretty good. Both analysis did pretty well, especially the characters. Animation-wise, oh well, I would say here to discuss over this very long animation. We're at about 16 or longer the last I remember of this fight, because holy crap, this fight is the most longest they ever have in a show in the longest time. Well, I'll say this in short summary. I like how there is a lot of stuff happening, from how the editing, including the animation, including hand-drawing of Hyper Scourge, and I can't believe they actually incorporated a lot of stuff, including making some brutal and bloody moments. I will admit, some of the same issues pretty much trace back here in this episode from the previous one, Risky vs. Con, and some scenes from the animator just have some bit of jank, and yeah, it shows with some of the sprites from Reverse Flash to Scourge, etc. But I'm actually pretty surprised, and the biggest one is actually had to be the cameos from previous seasons. In this case, previous episodes of FCC, including earlier years. It's actually pretty crazy how the animator managed to pull out this crazy amount of level, especially on editing, animation, etc. It's actually far surpassed the Goku vs. Black in my opinion, for how crazy shit I ever seen in the fight. And the deaths? Well, it's definitely the second brutal thing I ever seen in the show. The death itself is so crazy. Hell, even Dawn pretty much monologuing how Scourge is mostly a joke, and pretty much ended him killing him and erasing from existence. That is somehow the brutal death I have seen, and I will agree. And ends with Reverse Class killing himself and taking Scourge's glasses for his own. Definitely a great ending of this big, long fight. Sure, it's not as bloody compared to, say, how All Might pretty much obliterated Homelander in his own episode between him and Homelander in their episode respectively. And, well, I will admit, no as how cinematic is Venom vs. Shinichi how it was. But it is far better than that episode, how it ended out. So, I'm glad I had to say this. And wow, I can't believe I managed to go this far, especially talking about animation and lore-wise. As for the rest, well, I actually enjoy it much. It's not perfect, but I still enjoy it. And one of those cases is basically the soundtrack itself. Being, of course, what I'm referring to is Chaos. I need a little beer right there. Chaos Reverse. Chaos Reverse, well, not as same level as characters say Reverse or say from Death Battles, but it's a pretty good score in my opinion. JSVP score is easy one have managed to make a mark on the versus community, especially music alone. And hell, I can't wait what they had in store when they do other episodes for FCC. It's pretty astounding to me at how they managed to pull this off. From the techno, from the audio, it's really good. So it's kind of sucks there's no lyrics in this, since I am more in a lyric guy myself. But I can't say that the track definitely fits for the fight. And holy crap, it did. Yeah. And speaking of which, there are some things I really enjoyed the episode, which is actually the people who actually made it. Besides Steven and Archer, of course. Not only because of music score, but also to the other people who actually helped out in the episode. Of course, here are the three I will give comments to, especially for the one who did it. That said, that Tom Maui did a great job portraying as Reverse Flash. Well, definitely nowhere at the mean guy that in Death Battle. He did a great job in playing the role, especially how both the cynical and the dickish attitude that Dawn is known for. I would say one thing I wish they could improve on is maybe some of the parts, like maybe in the beginning and maybe somewhere in the middle. But I still really enjoyed the voice acting that Son did. I hope I can commission something from his art. And while admittedly Trey's voice acting Scourge did well, my only complaint about his voice acting as Scourge is that his audio does seem to be cracky in some point. Does sound really cracky and hard to even hear what he's saying at some points. Don't get me wrong, he's not bad. I think he did a good job. It's just that I feel like some of his audio, his mic work, just needs some improvement in my big opinion. And for Dino Time editor, yeah, he did a good job. I am not gonna sugarcoat it. He did a good job for the episode. He did a well done work, especially how this episode ended up being. Good job, man. And that's basically it. My summary about this episode. It's definitely the longest episode of FCC in the longest time. Both figuratively and literally. While I will admit there are some issues some episode, mainly the animation, well, in some parts. But it's honestly the most well-executed episode I have seen in FCC so far. Definitely even surpassing some other episodes previously. Is this my favorite of all time versus the Bane? Of course not. Of course not. There's some few episodes that especially did surpass it in different shows. It's going in minds, of course. But on its own, it definitely surpassed many things. And reached to my expectations that definitely earned the same level as Goku Black vs. First Flash did back in 2021. And on that note though, my final score for this episode and definitely earned it to be a 9 out of 10. Wow, okay, that is pretty impressive. Like I said, there's some issues, maybe some of the scenes, especially some stuff in the animation, but I still enjoyed this episode, not regardless. It's definitely one of few episodes that felt like it's very fast and very good on pacing in terms of fighting. And the ending definitely sells it from how it started to how it began. I have to say, this episode really reached my expectations to make things that I would like to join this episode. And I happy to say this episode managed to dethrone the one I mentioned as my favorite episode of the season, perhaps maybe the whole series. Sorry, Venom vs. Shinichi. I'm afraid this time around you have been dethroned. Well, it's a good run, but hey, you had to have your good time. And on that note, I finally got this video and this review done. Might as well say you guys expect my videos when they're finished, especially the episodes from Daily Duels at some point. It's gonna be a long few months for me, especially how I'm dealing with college and personal life so far in mental. And just to get out of the way, I might as well give a short review on Shovel Knight vs. Ursa Scarlet. It's fine. The episode itself is fine. Not the best one. I thought it's pretty good in some elements, but I feel like there's some parts, according to something I mentioned, either too fast-paced or just felt too short for me. But literally and figuratively for Shovel Knight's case. The new animator did a good job, but I just still think it really the same well after the episode came after it. Still, it's not a bad one. I thought it's pretty good as a whole. It still earns a 7 out of 10. But definitely nowhere as compared to say other episodes that came after it. Though if I say one thing, at least it's far more better compared to say the other indie character my episode they have this season being Freddy vs. Slenderman. And on that note, thank you for watching. Thank you to those who voted for my match to win, becoming an official episode of FCC. Hopefully I get the episodes that I want to do in my versus show get finished. Hopefully this month or the next one. In the meantime, I'm going to do some videos that would take you guys time for the benefit, especially what you guys been waiting for. Especially some episodes I have planned. Thank you for watching, and for hopefully this month, you'll be expecting something, expecting this year, or this month, to be excited for if you haven't seen my community post. I've just told 24, and I'll sign you off. See you later, guys. Have a nice day.